I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're exploring a powerful book, an important book, a book that just could save a life. It's called Dealing with Suicide and Depression, Getting Out of the Pit. It's written by a terrific author. His name is Michael Misfeldt. It is a deeply personal guide to overcoming life's darkest moments. With heartfelt stories and faith-based insights, Michael offers comfort and practical support for those battling depression or suicidal thoughts. His journey provides a beacon of hope for those seeking a path from despair to healing. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Michael, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate your time and your hard work on this book and the insight you have shared. What inspired you to write a book about dealing with suicide and depression?
I started this summer with down at Man Camp with our church down at the San Diego mountains, Palomar Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole weekend was about getting closer to Jesus. And my wife really didn't want me to go. She said, we can't afford it. And then I kind of scheduled to go anyways without telling her, but she found out about it later. So anyway, so we had a fireside meeting Friday night, the first day of camp. And so the whole thing was about you're walking so close to Jesus, you can feel the dust coming off his sandals. So the pastor had us do a couple exercises when we were like in a small amphitheater, and he had us sit up in the top 3 rows. That this is how most people are getting close to God. They're there, but they don't want to get too close. And then so he asked, put 3 chairs out next to him. He asked for volunteers to come down. And then it was kind of weird because right before then he did a couple of an exercise. 2 guys each had these small paintball guns with little water pellets in it. Mm-hmm. And they took off the shirts and blindfolded, and then they're supposed to shoot at each other with these little water guns. So the first guy shoots his out into the forest, and then finally they start shooting at each other. And so then he asked for these 3 volunteers to come down and sit by the fire. And then so I was like the 3rd guy that volunteered, and he just happened to pick me. So I went down there. Then he asked each of us, why did we volunteer to come down? And I said, I wanted to get closer to God. And then he asked the people in the audience, why they did not volunteer. And then one guy said, well, we didn't know what kind of shenanigans you're going to pull from the last, exercise that was up there. So some were a little bit apprehensive. And then just some people are shy about getting in front of a group, I guess. So he asked, and then so he had us fill out a 3x5 card and write down on it, what is keeping you from getting closer to God? So we took that and then we put it in the bonfire. And then the leader, he was standing there with his shirt off. So he asked everybody else to come down. So I was standing there and I took my jacket and shirt off and I was standing there. And then about 15 minutes later, he goes, that's the best thing I've seen all day is Mike standing there with his shirt off. And I said, well, that was pretty sad. So anyways, and then I was standing for a couple of minutes and then I asked if I could say something. And he said, yeah, go ahead. And so I said, it's only by the grace of God that I'm even here after 3 attempted suicides in the last 3 years. And I wasn't planning on saying that, speaking up about it. Mm-hmm. But glad I did, because there's about 5 or 6 guys come up to me the next day and said that took a lot of courage. I said, well, typically, especially in the church, we don't want to talk about depression or suicide or none of that stuff. So it's, just everybody thinks we got it all together, which is far from the truth. So anyway, I connected with a couple of guys, and then meet them every couple of weeks, and then just meet and talk, about what's going on in our lives. And then they were supposed to have a speaker Sunday morning at the end of our session for the weekend. And it was fact, the speaker was being brought down by the pastor's brother. So about halfway down the mountain, the guy that was supposed to be speaking had a stroke. So he's fine now, but they took him back to the hospital. And then I was laying in bed and I couldn't sleep. And then I felt like God was talking to me. And then I said, God, just let me get some sleep. I'll write something down in the morning. And finally, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I said, I'll just get up and start writing now. So I didn't want to wake everybody else up that was in the book room. And then I started writing. I wrote down about 6 pages of stuff. And then I gave it to the pastor in the morning, asked him if he had anybody that was going to take the speaker's place on Sunday. He said, no. I said, well, I felt God talking to me last night. I'm going to take a look at this and see what you think. And then so I hadn't heard from him all day Saturday. So I'd really given up on giving my speech or presentation or whatever. And then on the way to dinner Saturday night, he goes, Mike, I want you to give your talk Sunday morning. And he says that I'll just tell a guy Saturday night that there's somebody that thinks, says that they had, God was talking to me and he just wants to share. So that's how this whole thing started.
Yeah. Amazing. It did take a lot of courage to speak up at that meeting and confess basically amongst everyone about your dark periods in your life. And but I do think by sharing your experiences, it can help others because you are a survival story. Now, there were 3 periods in your life where you felt like ending your life. What changed? What stopped you from taking your life? And what can other people learn from this?
Well, I had actually taken some pain pills that I had for my back, and I wasn't planning on waking up. And then about the middle of the night, I threw up. I think that's probably what kept me from overdosing. And it was just, you listen to you have your choice. You can listen to the lies of the enemy telling you you're not loved. God doesn't love you.
Right.
Not wanted, or whatever, so they, you're not good enough, or whatever. He's going to throw something at you.
Yeah.
You just have to turn around and lean on him and his word, and then because by ending your life, you're cheating your loved ones. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's a very difficult thing to talk about. And thank God, literally, thank God you survived. Thank God you threw up that night when you took the sleeping pills or the pain medication. Um, and, you know, God has blessed you. You've gotten a new lease on life and he is showing you the way. It seems like he's helped you find a good support group in your community, other men of faith. And it seems like that's helped a great deal. And now you've written this book, and that's your contribution. And I think that's wonderful. And I think that's beautiful. What do you hope people take away from this book?
That I guess end the stigma about mental health. Sure, all of us go through doubts and trials, and it's just maybe they can learn from what I went through.
Yeah.
There's a lot of material out there. If somebody needs help, don't be afraid to ask. That's the main thing. Guys aren't supposed to talk about their feelings. You're not supposed to talk about stuff you're going through, especially my heritage. Back from Germany and Finland and Scandinavia. You're just supposed to tough it up, big boys don't cry.
Yeah.
But it's just everybody's got a little stuff that they're going through and they need help. I think all of us need help at one point in our lives, and if we just take the time to reach out to those people around us, it'll help.
Yeah. A pastor one time told me that life is hard. And once we accept the fact that life is hard, it becomes easier.
Yeah.
And there are dark periods in all of our lives. We wonder what it's all about. We wonder if we're cared about, loved, connected. And I think more people care about us than we realize at times, particularly when we're blinded by, dark thoughts of suicide or depression. And you've got to focus on the good in this life, right? You got to focus on the light, not the darkness.
Yeah, I've been really blessed with three great kids, good family. We support group at the church I used to go to, and then
Mhm.
a church. It's just amazing men that I've been able to connect with.
Yeah. Well, we're lucky and we're glad that you were able to connect with these other men in the church group. You're blessed with the three children, as you mentioned, and they want their dad around for sure, and and their friends want their friend around. And God's greatest gift is this life that we have. And I think you're doing a great service by spreading the word that there is hope and that there is help.
Yeah, life is too short; it goes by too fast. So
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
put here for a reason, and need to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The name of the book we've been talking about today is called Dealing with Suicide and Depression, Getting Out of the Pit. It is a deeply personal guide to overcoming life's darkest moments. With heartfelt stories and faith-based insights, Michael offers comfort and practical support for those battling depression or suicidal thoughts. His journey is a beacon of light, a beacon of hope for anyone seeking a path from despair to healing. This book is highly recommended. Michael, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time, sir, and your courage to come forward and tell your story. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time, this time until next time on Spotlight.